I'm back, everyone. I'm sorry. I haven't been around for quite some time. And that is because I had to move across country. And also, I'm in school now, so I'm a full-time online student. Life has just been kind of hectic lately, and I've been struggling with some image issues and everything like that. But I am back. So let's just go ahead and hop into it. Later, hopefully on the channel, I will be putting up a fall reading plan, as well as a kind of a moving vlog, so you can get to know a little bit more about me and the process of moving across America. So, Drum Island arc takes place over in One Piece, of course, chapters 130 through 154 from the source that I found. So let's go ahead and start with volume 15, where we find out more about the royal soldiers, and we find that our navigator, Nami, gets sick, probably due to the weather. I thought it was very interesting that Nami has found out that she can kind of almost feel the weather within her body, and I wonder if we're going to find out more about that, or if we're just going to see more and more instances of that. So at first I thought Chess looked like a very sad guy, and I was like, oh, poor guy. Yeah, never mind, he's freaking evil, so whatever, we don't care about him. I did want to mention something interesting about one of our nakama, Sanji. So he puts on a certain sort of demeanor, I feel like, and like when he's in front of other people, yet when he's with the crew, he's like a bit unhinged. But whenever he was with Nami and whatever, kind of unhinged, and then steps outside where there's kind of like a battle going on the ship, with Waypole making his first appearance, he puts a cigarette in his mouth and turns into this like cool guy leaning up on a wall or something, like, oh, so we're fighting here, huh? But earlier he was so unhinged, so I'm wondering if like he normally puts on this facade. I guess we could say yes, because that's kind of how he is, or how he was when we first met him. And I just thought that was something that was very interesting, to kind of see it happen in an immediate sense. So we see Waypole, who is our Waypole of Tin captain, and he has the munch fruit, which I'll get more into my thoughts on how I feel about the munch fruit later. So we see a little graph of how the way the seasons work within the islands, and how you experience, or how they will experience 16 different seasons. I don't know, the graph was helpful, but I'm still confused. Okay, it's just is what it is. Okay, so they were bowing down on the ship, all the Straw Hat Pirates, and Vivi says, Luffy, you're a failure as a captain. Impulsiveness doesn't solve anything. If you get us all killed, what will happen to Nami? He has a serious face on or whatever. And my thought during this is like, did what Vivi said drive him to action? Did it do what she meant for it to do? I was honestly kind of surprised that he didn't react more emotionally, but maybe he realized she was right. But we're always talking about how dense Luffy is, so I don't know. I was very interested by that, and I said that I don't know. I thought Luffy would be offended. So the question is, I don't know if he would be, or if he's too dense, but that she was just saying it to get his attention because she knew it would. So the beginning of chapter 133 has this little, I don't know what you call it, but the opening of the chapter, the hiking bear, and then they all have to like bow down to him or whatever, it's a sign of respect. And I thought that was really cute. I love Oda's like little things that he just puts into story, his work. Then we meet Captain Dalton, who is Drum Island's civilian guard, and we later find out more about kind of who he is. Also, if I'm sweating, don't worry about it, we all sweat, okay? I thought Dalton was really cool. Like, just upon first impression, I thought he was very cool, like a very cool designed character. And then once we see that he's also eaten the devil fruit, and it's like half beast, half man sort of thing, I also thought that was very, very cool. Then we find out about the doctor witch lady, Kureha, and they say that she supposedly rides her sleigh at night to get down from the drum tower, which also happens to be where she gets the witch name, and that others say that she comes down with a beast, which I guess technically both are true. So we learn more about their history of Drum Island, where Blackbeard came to the island with 4 others and defeated the whole island, and that Waypole, who we thought was a pirate, is actually the king of Drum Island. He's looking to come back to Drum Island. And we also meet Tony Chopper, which we will get to him. I'm going to have a hard time going back and reading those chapters. But anyway, we find out just how crazy Kureha is. She's absolutely insane of a doctor. And while I was reading these chapters, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, she's actually insane. Is she actually a doctor? Is she actually helping people? Or is she just crazy? I don't know. I also saw this one panel of Waypole, and he looked like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. And I thought it was hilarious. Also, I love Robson White Walkie. He was so cute, and I'm so sad that Waypole killed all of his family, I guess. That's tragic, to say the least. That's tragic. And then we meet Chess, and I've never actually read his name. Kuro Marimo. And then I thought it was really interesting where Captain Dalton had started transforming at this point and said to Captain Waypole, you and I are guilty of the same sin. And I'm like, what is the same sin that you guys are guilty of? Like, what's happening here? But I'm guessing it's just the eating the devil fruit, unless it's also has to do with like what they did to the country or what they did to the island. I love a lot of things that Dalton had to say. I thought it was very interesting that Waypole took all of the 20 doctors from this island, I guess, for himself, and then left everyone else with crazy Kureha. So, and then we find out more that Dalton is actually indebted to the previous king, then, was indebted to Waypole because he becomes the next king. I loved seeing that. Oh, okay. He ate the ox fruit bison model, which is the devil's fruit of the zone family, which I'm very interested to see more of what that means and what kind of different families of the devil fruits that there are. And I'm sure that there are so many and that you guys are so excited for me to see more and more of the devil fruits. I love the animal one. I think that's super sick. Like, that's an awesome devil fruit power, especially the bull one. But if you like turn into a rat or something, I guess that kind of sucks. And then you kind of like Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter. And you're like, all right, so volume 16, we meet the Lapins, which are the crazy bunnies who eat people, I guess. And Luffy sees one of the little Lapins trying to take a bigger one out of the snow, and he just very casually just rips him out of the snow. And then later on, they protect him because he did that. And I loved that. I love Luffy. I love everything that Luffy does. Like, even the Suho stuff, I love it. I love it. He's just great. He's great. This is a great story. I'm enjoying my time. I really am enjoying my time. I'm so glad that I'm back and that I'm back reading One Piece. I am also reading Malice, by the way, which I had to restart, but we'll get to that later. So I appreciated Oda showing that Luffy will stop at absolutely nothing to save his nakama as he's going up one of the drums, I guess, on Drum Island, using his fingers to climb. And he's bleeding. His fingers are bleeding. He's like freaking near death at this point, and still going up and carrying Nami on his back, and Sanji as well. Let's talk about the Django chapters at the beginning. His face reveal had my mouth literally agape. When I was looking, I was like, at my computer, I was like, you're lying to me. His eyes are not heart-shaped, yet they are. I love Django's design. I really do. Which, by the way, I know that you guys were talking about me doing the tier ranking for the characters, and I do want to do that. I've been keeping track of all the new characters that have been coming in, so don't you guys worry. Within my notes, I've been keeping track of all the characters so I can do another design tier list and add, and I thought it was really funny that Zoro kicked some guy's butt just to get his jacket back. And oh yeah, the scenes showing the doctor's lab, Dr. Kureha's lab, reminded me of these books I used to read when I was a kid. And I'll put up a picture of it, but I used to read them, and it's about this little girl who's like a mad scientist who doesn't get along with all the girly girls. And I felt like that was me when I was younger, though I am trying to enter my girly girl era, but it's very difficult because I don't know how to do that. But anyway, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of that. And for a second, I thought the reindeer was the real doctor, which technically not wrong, but he's just also a doctor. So the doctor and Nami scenes in the beginning are kind of fan servicey, kind of sus. I didn't like them. They didn't make me feel good. It made me feel a little weird. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like beyond my limits of, whatever. But where the doctor grabs Nami's shirt and lifts it up and looks at the rash on her in a sort of like domineering way, I guess. And then also the way that she's like, you're not getting up from this bed. You have to stay here to be whatever. And she's like on top of her with a knife at her throat. But it looks, what's the word? Not, like an innuendo sort of thing is kind of what it looks like. Not innuendo. You guys know what I'm talking about. But it just felt sus. I didn't like. So we find out that Tony Chopper ate the human fruit, which I had no idea that was a thing. But my question is, what would happen if a human were to eat the human fruit? I bet we're going to see somebody who has. I'm putting my bets in now on the table. My elbow just popped. I'm putting them in now. But I do wonder what would happen if they're just like extra human. Yeah. Anyway. Oh my gosh. I literally busted out laughing when I was seeing Tony Chopper like be like, so you're pirates? And he's like this, like on the bed, or like going towards the bed towards Nami and like, so you guys are pirates? Really? What's that about? And then she's like, oh, you're interested in pirates? And he's like, oh, no, of course not. Of course not. I love Tony Chopper. And it does take a lot for me to actually like have a visceral reaction to any sort of book, to any sort of story, like whether it's a movie or a book or manga, like it takes a lot. And the fact that I was like actually physically reacting to a lot of this chapter, I was very excited. It's just a great note to come back on. So then we find out a bit more about Tony Chopper's backstory and how sad it is and how he was rejected by everyone, humans and everyone except for this doctor who's the cookie doctor, who is, I keep forgetting his name, Hiluluk. So we find Hiluluk, it's either Hiluluk or Hiluluk, but let's call him Dr. H. So you find Dr. H, or he found Dr. H, who gave him his name and treated him like a son. And then we find more about just this kooky doctor and how he is. And I thought it was very interesting, the scene where he's like, I'm not gonna shoot you, and strips down to his birthday suit. I thought it was hilarious. The snow is covering any parts that are not safe for kids, so are not safe for work, let's say. And the picture of Chopper getting accepted into Dr. H's life and eating bread, and after he gets like all bandaged up and everything, the picture said so much without saying anything. Like, he's got these tears streaming down his face, he's eating into a baguette, and like you can tell that he's like, oh my gosh, like I'm being accepted and taken care of for the first time in my life. And I thought that was so precious, and yet that was only the beginning to my emotional devastation. So then we get more mention of the dragon 5 or 6 years ago, when it was being mentioned, which I think would be current time now, that he would be an enemy of the world government, in which I'm guessing he is now. And that we find where the world government is located in Marjoie, I guess. Looks like a French name, so we're gonna guess that. So Dalton, we find out a bit more about his backstory and why the initial kind of feelings he was getting towards not wanting to follow Waypole anymore, which is when he had smacked Vivi as a child, who was a princess of Alabasta. Obviously, we already know that. And then we also meet her father by the backstory, the Nefeltari Cobra, the ruler of Alabasta. I love Dr. H's backstory as well, talking about emotions healing a person and how he believes that there is no disease that is incurable, and that he wants to fight like a pirate to save the country. And then he starts telling Chopper, well, you never know how small your problems really are until you meet a pirate. And they also had a physical fight with each other, which kind of made me upset, because he used Tony Chopper as a decoy when the people of the city were out after him, because, you know, he was a terrible quack doctor, basically. when it came to actual medicine of physical, but I was kind of surprised that Chopper still trusted him after that. But I guess boys will be boys, and maybe it was kind of one of those things. So he gave him the peace offering, which is the hat that he now wears. And it seems that Oda carries a lot of significance in hats and do-rags and bananas and hats of the straw variety. And yeah, lots of... So, oh my gosh. So now we're getting started on the Tony Chopper. So Chopper had gotten fully healed, and the doctor was like, okay, I'm kicking you out now. And did it in a very emotional, mean way to where he tried to make Chopper not want to come back. And then the story that the doctor had said, which is his whole thing, is he wants to make cherry blossoms grow on Drum Drum Island, the winter island, except it's not exactly possible because it's a winter island and cherry blossoms do not grow in that sort of climate. And so they were looking for a mushroom previously, and I mean, you guys already know all of this, but I'm recounting the story for you guys, okay? So Tony Chopper and Dr. H were looking for a mushroom that someone was looking for, like in the town, as a cure-all. And so Tony Chopper, after he gets kicked out, he leaves and goes to find this mushroom. And then he went and he got it. He came back looking all bloody and beat up and said, mushroom. And I'm like, so cute. And he asked if he could be a doctor. Oh my gosh, I didn't even finish my point about the cherry blossoms was that Dr. H was told he had a terminal illness when he was younger, I guess. And I say younger, but like a young adult. And then he sees all these cherry blossoms, and then he's like instantly healed by how beautiful it was. And he just wanted to be able to do that for everybody on Drum Drum Island as well. And he just wants to help people. So when Chopper came back with the mushroom, and the doctor forgave him, or not forgave him, but the doctor was like, yes, come back. Like, he felt so bad about what he had to do, but he didn't have to do it like that. But I guess he did, but it still didn't work anyway. So whatever. And then he says, when Chopper says he wants to be a doctor, he says, of course you can, Chopper. You've got the most important qualification, a big heart. And then he makes the soup for him out of the mushroom. And then Dr. H eats it and says, you'll make a fine doctor. I'm living proof of that. And then it has a big smile. Chopper has a big smile on. And then we find out from Dr. K that the mushroom is actually deadly and kills the person within an hour. And I'm sorry I'm hunched over, guys. I have to look at my notes. And Dr. H is on his way up the drum to go talk to Waypole and everything, and kind of goes in as a I don't want to say this word on YouTube, so I'm not going to, but he goes in as a sacrifice, let's say, of the exploding variety. And he says, when does a man die? Is it when he's shot in the heart with a pistol? No. When he's stricken with a deadly disease? No. When he eats soup made from a deadly mushroom? No. It's when he's forgotten. Chills. I got chills. They're multiplying. And then he drank something to make him explode. And I'm wondering if he actually did eat the soup, because he was saying, Chopper, you'll know that your mushroom isn't what killed me. But he already had a deadly disease and was dying anyway, but didn't want Chopper to know, which is why he made him leave anyway in the first place. Is it that he ate... that he drank the stuff to make himself explode so that it wasn't the mushroom that killed him? And also for the point of wanting to be that sacrifice, or to make a point, or to live as a legend, and also to try to attack Waypole or something. I don't know. I feel like there's so many layers to what he did. And also made me question if he ate the soup in the first place. But I feel like he did. I thought it was very precious when Chopper said, I will make myself the miracle cure. I will become the doctor who can cure everything, because there's no disease in this world that is incurable. So we move on to volume 17. Chopper has been hurt many times in the past by being called a monster and everything. And Sanji is talking about Luffy and how he's a rubber man and everything, and is talking to Chopper, and he says, yeah, basically he's a monster, with a happy face, and he's like, oh my gosh, monster can be a compliment. Like, it's not all negative. And then we find Dalton is hurt, and then the 20 doctor is going to save him. And Dalton says, one quack no. The 20 doctors who go to save Dalton said, one quack doctor taught us to never give up hope. We should listen to fools like that more. And that basically they were working for Whipple because they had to, not because they were evil as well. Then I was just thinking about how much munch fruit. These notes are chronological throughout the story, but it may seem kind of all over the place. So I'm sorry about that. But so I was just thinking how the munch fruit was weird and kind of not as powerful per se. But then he turns into the munch factory, and the things that he ate becomes him, which is kind of crazy. And then I love this Usopp saying that he will carry Dalton up the drum, and then I love that determination where he finally gets unscared because he was inspired by what Dalton had to say. And I was like, there's no way. And then the next chapter is literally, what the heck? What am I? Zoro. It's literally Zoro taking Dalton up and taking the lead. Also, side note, we find out that Bragi and Dory, from one of the SBSs, because I read them all, trust me. And they were talking about the helmets in the SBS and how one is a Celtic horned helmet and the other seems to be from the Swedish Vendel period. And then Oda says, the inspiration for the warriors of Elpath, the tribe of giants, was my favorite pirates of the North, the Vikings. And guess what? I recently took an ancestry test and found out I'm 29% Viking. So, and that's the most like percentage of anything I have, like 29% Scandinavian and 28% German. And then everything else is like 13, 5, 1, and 1. So I thought that was really interesting. And I thought you guys would like to know that I'm basically related to Dory and Bragi. So that was really cool because they were also like some of my favorite characters so far. I also thought it was very interesting where just the dynamic of all of the characters and how we see that Usopp and Zoro are like fighting and whatever, and Usopp was like, I was just about to get serious, and Zoro comes in and he's like, I know, whatever. And you know, he's carrying Dalton, and Vivi's looking at them with this kind of face of like, oh, like he really does care. They really do care about each other. When I know that Nami put in this situation would be yelling at them to like shut the hell up and just get moving. And so I think it's interesting to see the juxtaposition between the relationships between all of the characters and each other. I got 10 minutes left on my SD card and my camera is dying, so it's fine. We got this. Okay, so I loved the part where Luffy is on top of the castle and he has the Dr. H's flag up and is talking to Waypo and is like, you don't understand the significance of this flag. You are not going to touch this flag. And he's up there and he's all like blown up and everything, like standing there amidst the smoke and everything. And it's just such an epic scene. And I love that we're seeing how important this flag is, because it is not just a flag, it's a symbol. And it's not just a symbol, it's a belief and a promise. And I loved that. And at this point I was like, I cannot wait for Tony to join the freaking crew. And I don't know why I called him Tony instead of Chopper, but whatever. And I thought it was really interesting to see that Tony Chopper had this dream of becoming a pirate since Dr. H was telling him about it. And then we think back to the beginning. I say we're all in this together, okay? Think back to the beginning of how Luffy was with Straw Hat Shanks and where we're at now, where Luffy was the young boy who was looking up to another pirate saying that like, that's what I want to be. Now we have an example of Chopper looking up at Luffy saying, that's what I want to be. So this is what a pirate really is, knowing gosh darn well he wants to be a part of that. And then we find out about his more forms and his fighting and everything, and the transformations and how he ate another sort of medicine, the rumble something, where he has 7 different forms instead of 5. Instead of 3? Yeah, instead of 3. He has 4 more transformations. So he's 7. Also, I thought it was disgusting that Waypo could eat himself, but of course. And why that makes him slim down is really interesting, but I try not to ask too many questions about the logistics because there are none. Or the physics or whatever icks there are, you know. Nami shows that she really is a girl after money after all. After she loans her jacket to Luffy and then because he messed it up, she's like, well, you have to pay me Triple, what it's worth. Anyway, so Weipo's making this face when he points the cannon at Luffy, and ducks come out of it, and he's got these like wide eyes, and he's like, his mouth is like super long, like his chin is super long, and it was giving Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb for some reason. And also saw a little panel of the Tulip Pirates, and I will be looking forward to when we meet them. Oh my gosh, something that was so epic was when Dalton is going up with some of the townspeople, some of the crew, that he is having these flashbacks of all the trauma that he went through with Weipo in his life, and it is riling him up. Like, it is hyping this man up, even though he's still severely injured. He is hyping this man up to go up and face Weipo, you know, for the last time. Oh my gosh. When Dr. K kicks down a brick wall and is like, "Get back to the infirmary," to Sanji and Nami, it was freaking hilarious. She was a treat, honestly. Even though I was not sure if she was a she or not at first. Just the way she was designed, I guess. And then, so Weipo is defeated. I hope that we do see I want to call him a hippo. He's not a hippo, but Bronson? Is that his name? Anyway, I just talked about him at the very beginning. The creature that Weipo was riding. So I wonder if we will see him again, because he was shot into the sky to be like a little star, a little speck. But I wonder if he is the last of his kind, and if we will see him again, because I thought he was precious. And then Chopper tells Dr. K that he wants to leave and he wants to be a pirate. And she's like, "No, you don't," whatever. And you know, she's like throwing knives at him and stuff and threatening him. And I thought that maybe she didn't really want him to leave, or maybe she did. And it was really, you know, leaving me on the edge of my seat there. And then we see Chopper is using the sleigh, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the witch's sleigh." Anyway, so we find out that this is actually kind of what she wanted for him. She wanted someone to come and heal his heart, which is what she said to Luffy. Is like, "Do you think you can heal his heart?" You know, Dalton's like, "Are you sure this is what you want?" She's like, "He was just a stray that just got adopted, and that she doesn't like tearful farewells." And I'm like, "You are literally the craziest lady ever." Chopper is going on this sleigh, or flying the sleigh, I guess, and wondering, is Dr. H's promise, like the dust that he had made, is it real, or are you just lying to make me not feel bad about your death? And then it creates pink snow to represent like the cherry blossoms and everything. And it says, "In time, the tale of Hiluluk's cherry blossoms shining in the night would become a symbol of this nameless nation's hard-won freedom. But the birth of a new country with its unusual flag is a story for another time." And oh my gosh, I can't wait for that other time. And then we find out a guy named Ace is looking for Luffy and will be waiting for him in Alabasta for 10 days. I'm really looking forward to this next saga. And then we find out that Dr. Kureha actually knew Gold D. Roger, now known as Gold Roger, and she was like, "Oh, so that's what he goes by now. So the will of D lives on." Okay. And then we see Chopper's on the ship with the crew, and there's so much chaos going on, and he's like, "This is the most fun I've ever had." And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Chopper, that is the closest I've been to crying, is Chopper's backstory. I mean, it made me so sad, and I love animals so much, so I'm like, I need to hug all 3 of my cats immediately right now, as I'm reading it. We also meet Bon Clay, Mr. 2, who's making sure that Mr. 3 has gotten taken care of. He looks absolutely insane. And then we see a little panel of Sir Crocodile, and he looks so cool. I'm not going to lie, I feel like he's going to be so high up on my tier ranking of character designs. So, as you guys know, if you've watched my videos before, you see that I kind of recap and then talk about my feelings about each thing and ask questions and all this kind of stuff as I go through. Sometimes it feels a little chaotic and all over the place for me as I'm reading this off, but I hope that it was still a good video for you guys. Please let me know all of your opinions, all of your suggestions. Don't spoil anything past here, because I have not read past this point when this video has come out, and I am hoping to post my vlog soon as well, and I'm just so glad to be back here with you guys. You guys have been very supportive, and I definitely really appreciate that, and I have enjoyed my time with One Piece, and I'm so glad that you guys have convinced me to read it. And yeah, I'm genuinely just getting so excited for where the story is going to go, and I'm only 155 chapters in. I cannot imagine thousands of chapters from now how crazy this journey is going to get. But I'm so glad that I am, with you guys sail the sea with you guys, you know? And that I'm back, and yeah, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm excited. And yeah, I hope the audio was okay, because I know I had to hold my microphone because I don't have any of my home goods at the moment. I only have what I took with me on the plane. So I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed day, and that you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know all of your thoughts. I appreciate them as always, and I will try to talk to each and every one of you in the comments. Thanks.